I once heard that back in the 1900s, buyer's agents didn't even exist. In fact, until the 1990s, it was normal that only the seller had an agent representing them. It turns out sellers really like not being sued because unrepresented buyers who didn't understand the contract and instances of dual agency where the seller's agent represented the seller and the buyer ended up with a lot of lawsuits. So the idea of cooperative compensation was established, where the listing agent negotiated a compensation amount with their client, and the listing agent would share a portion of the commission with the brokerage who represented a willing and able buyer. It also turns out that buyers really like knowing what's going on. Knowing their options and having someone advocate for their interests really helps the market to become less litigious. According to Raise, a data app to promote transparency between agents and clients, agents on average spend 80 to 100 hours helping a buyer client. If the buyer ends up not closing the transaction, for most agents, all of that time goes uncompensated. Not to burst your bubble on the misleading headlines or anything, but many of the rules to come out of the NAR settlement have already been in place for the Northwest MLS contracts because transparency is a good thing. We just didn't have a big lawsuit or a national announcement about it. But really, the biggest question is how will adding buyer representation as an out-of-pocket expense to buyers affect those who are trying to get into responsible home ownership in the first place? Many first-time home buyers do everything possible to save up for the down payment amount plus 2% for closing costs and the unknowns of escalation and appraisal buffer. Suddenly, sellers would have their pool of buyer potential significantly reduced, and buyers using FHA loans, the down payment assistance program, and VA buyers who are prohibited by the government from paying for their representation would no longer have access to an agent advocating for them. So, who benefits from a competent buyer's agent being involved in a real estate transaction? Everyone. Everyone benefits. This is Abigail Echol helping you get home.